He had only glanced at the rich man's bookshelf for a moment. When the housekeeper casually asked, "Have you read all these books?" the millionaire replied, "Most of them." The question was asked out of curiosity, but it sent the housekeeper into deep thought. He suddenly realized that the success of many wealthy people wasn't just luck. Knowledge really could change a person's fate. When he got home, he turned off the TV his sons loved most, and began making a study plan for them. He set strict rules. Within 1 week, the two brothers had to finish at least 2 books, and write down what they understood from them. Faced with this sudden demand, the boys immediately pushed back, but this time, their mother didn't budge at all. From that day on, their TV time was completely replaced with trips to the library. Compared to the repetitive, boring TV shows, the world inside books felt fresher, full of mystery and imagination. Slowly, the two brothers got used to reading, but real life didn't change overnight. Reading didn't instantly improve their grades. After one exam, the teacher read the scores out loud in class. Some students scored high, others got every single question wrong. Laughter filled the classroom. Carson lowered his head. The teasing didn't stop there. Classmates began mocking him, the only black child in the class. The sarcasm grew sharper and crueler. Carson finally lost control, and got into a physical fight. The other student ended up in the hospital, needing several stitches. Even though Carson kept saying it was an accident, the fact that he had thrown punches couldn't be denied. Fortunately, the principal didn't punish him severely. He simply handed the report card to Carson's mother, and reminded her to keep a closer eye on her son. Looking at the disastrous grades, the mother finally realized the problem wasn't just attitude. Carson knew he had made a serious mistake. He apologized, and promised never to fight again. But when it came to studying, he admitted he truly felt helpless. His mother immediately shut down that self-doubt. She told him he wasn't stupid, he just hadn't used his intelligence the right way. She said bluntly that, if he kept going like this, his life would stay stuck at the bottom. Her words were harsh, but there was no room for compromise. After calming down, she began seriously looking for the root of the problem. She quickly discovered 2 key issues. First, years of watching TV up close had severely damaged Carson's eyesight. He actually couldn't see the blackboard clearly at all. Second, his obsession with television left him with no energy for homework, and slowly pushed him away from books. So she made 2 decisions. She took out the family's limited savings, and bought Carson a pair of glasses. Then she set new rules. 2 books every week, reading reflections written on weekends, only 2 TV shows per week, and only after homework was done. The moment Carson put on his glasses, the world became clear for the first time. Not just his vision, his learning began to change too. His grades finally started to rise. His mother didn't praise him dramatically, she just kept telling him, again and again, that he could do even better. Those calm but firm words taught Carson how to persevere, and how to stop running away. Standing at the front of the classroom, he was no longer afraid. He lifted his head, met the eyes that once looked down on him, and answered with confidence. Clear, steady, and powerful. Teachers and classmates noticed the change. After another exam, the teacher asked about his score in front of everyone. Carson had earned nearly a perfect score. From that moment on, his hunger for knowledge was fully awakened. He buried himself in books, reading constantly, thinking deeply. The library became the place he spent the most time. Late at night, he would still sit under a lamp, turning pages, greedily absorbing every bit of new knowledge. Years of reading slowly reshaped his thinking. Scattered facts began connecting into a system. He didn't just memorize answers anymore. He could see the core of a problem, and analyze it from multiple angles. During a science class, the teacher held up a black stone, and asked if anyone knew what it was. The classroom went silent. No one dared to answer. Just as the teacher was about to move on, Carson raised his hand. To everyone's surprise, he gave the correct answer, and went on to explain how the stone had formed. His explanation was clear, complete, and logical. The teacher was visibly stunned. After class, the teacher asked Carson to stay behind. At first, Carson thought he'd done something wrong, and instinctively apologized. But instead of scolding him, the teacher led him to a microscope. When Carson looked through the lens, and saw that strange, vivid microscopic world, it felt like he was stepping into the doorway of science for the first time. From that moment on, medicine left its mark on his life. After that, his grades kept climbing. He outperformed one person after another, who had once looked down on him, and eventually won the highest academic honor in 8th grade. On the day of the award ceremony, the principal personally handed him the certificate. His mother sat in the audience, watching her son on stage, calm, confident, and proud. But then, the homeroom teacher suddenly walked up, and signaled for silence. Everyone assumed he was about to congratulate Carson. Instead, he criticized him. In front of everyone, he belittled Carson's background, saying that a poor black child didn't deserve such an honor. The room fell into dead silence. No one spoke up. Nearly everyone present, teachers, parents, students, was white. That naked prejudice finally woke Carson's mother up. She realized that, no matter how hard her son worked, staying here would only mean being treated unfairly. So she took out the savings she had built up over years, and transferred Carson to another school. The new school had no racial discrimination, but it wasn't easy either. It was filled with troubled teens, from complicated family backgrounds. On Carson's first day, he became a target of ridicule, just because he wore old clothes. Mocking voices echoed around him. This time, Carson didn't stay silent. He fought back with words, humiliating the bully in front of everyone. The crowd burst into laughter. The once arrogant student suddenly changed his attitude, offered his hand, and pulled Carson into his circle. Entering adolescence, Carson tasted the thrill of releasing his emotions. For the first time, he quickly blended in, but change followed. He began comparing himself to others, resenting his worn-out clothes, and constantly complaining to his mother. She pushed back gently, only to be met with cold stares. No matter how much she scolded him, he ignored her, slammed the door, and stormed out. In the end, she gritted her teeth, and spent what little money she had left to buy him a new pair of pants. She would rather suffer herself than see her son hurt at school. But the next morning, Carson didn't wear them. When his mother asked why, she was met with coldness and defiance. The argument escalated, and reason slowly slipped away. For the first time, Carson realized he was drifting off course. He couldn't believe he was treating the woman who had sacrificed everything for him this way. Teenage rebellion showed itself fully in that moment. But growth often begins with falling down. After that conflict, Carson gradually realized something was pulling him in the wrong direction. He reined in his emotions and refocused on his studies. Years later, with outstanding grades, he was admitted to Yale University's medical school. This was where his real life truly began. Thanks to exceptional hand-eye coordination, he excelled in professional courses, and consistently ranked near the top of his class. He also earned a full scholarship, the only way he could continue his education, since his aging mother could no longer support the family. Hoping to work as soon as possible to ease the burden, Carson wanted to graduate early, but a new problem appeared. Boring chemistry classes left him unable to focus, and his grades dropped to the bottom. If he failed the final exam, all his plans would collapse. At his most confused moment, someone around him woke him up. He began reflecting on what kind of learning style truly suited him. Then he completely changed his approach. Instead of obsessing over lectures, he focused on reading and organizing knowledge systematically. Every weekend after that, he practically lived in the library. Others studied with him, reviewing, explaining, and filling gaps together. His chemistry grades rose rapidly. On the day of the final exam, he answered calmly, with clear thinking and steady pacing. In the end, he scored nearly perfect. That meant he was one step closer to his goal. After graduating from Yale, Carson received an interview opportunity at Johns Hopkins Hospital, one of the most prestigious medical institutions in the world. Every year, countless top graduates competed for spots, but there were only 2 positions for neurosurgery interns. Facing the intense interview, Carson remained calm. His answers reflected both deep understanding of medicine and genuine respect for the field. In the end, he stood out and became a key member of Johns Hopkins neurosurgery department. Soon after, an emergency situation became his first real test. He successfully saved a life and was promoted ahead of schedule. His reputation quickly spread through the medical world, but an even greater challenge followed. In Germany, a hospital admitted a pair of conjoined twins, connected at the head. At the time, there had never been a successful separation worldwide. Failure meant both babies could lose their lives. Carson was invited to join the consultation. The first time he saw the infants, he realized that, if no one tried, they would spend their lives confined to hospital beds. At the parents' request, Carson accepted the challenge. Examinations showed the twins were connected only at the brain and shared no other organs. The real challenge was massive blood loss during surgery. Infants have very little blood and couldn't survive long procedures. If blood loss could be controlled, the success rate would rise dramatically. But there was no existing solution. Carson had to rely on himself. For months, he studied countless materials, without a breakthrough, until one late night, a detail from everyday life sparked an idea. He proposed temporarily stopping the heart to control blood loss. Existing technology could safely stop the heart for 1 hour. That window was enough to complete the most critical separation and reconstruction. After repeated verification, the parents chose to trust him. On the day of surgery, all equipment was prepared in duplicate, and all power sources were connected to backup systems. More than 50 medical staff participated. Before the operation, they rehearsed countless times. After anesthesia, cardiothoracic surgeons handled the heart first. Then it was Carson's team's turn. The external brain separation lasted 6 full hours. Then came the most dangerous internal procedures. Midway through, blood loss suddenly spiked. Carson immediately decided to stop the heart earlier than planned. There was no turning back. The next hour, every second mattered. Under extreme tension, the separation was completed, but time was running out. Nerve and blood vessel reconstruction had to be done immediately. Exhausted, Carson nearly collapsed from dizziness. At the critical critical moment. He steadied himself. In the final countdown, the surgery was completed. The heart restarted. The 28-hour operation was a success. Carson walked out of the operating room and told the parents the news himself. Soon, media from around the world rushed in. Praise poured in from everywhere. But Carson said nothing. He simply walked toward the two most important people in his life and held them tightly. One was his mother. The other was his wife.